We've got a lot to talk about. You clicked on the video, you know what's up. Let's talk about Babylon. So by the time you're seeing this, I will have seen the film 3 times, and yes, I think it's safe to say it has weaseled itself into my top 10 of the year. And I'm more than well aware that I'm in the minority, at least audience-wise. Critics do seem to enjoy it more, despite the, 45% of them that don't. But, like I said in my out-of-theater reaction, I unapologetically love this movie. Is it my favorite Damien Chazelle movie? No, probably not at all, but it is so entertaining. I love it. I have been overly excited to see this movie since it was announced in the early parts of 2021, and in between the time of its actual release, we got some very shaky first reactions. Now, Damien Chazelle doesn't mess around when it comes to filmmaking, and to hear that a majority of the screenings where the audience isn't just your casual viewer, is a collective that works within the very industry the film that they're watching is about, and that those people didn't like it, well, for the lack of a better term, it kind of took a giant elephant-sized shit on my expectations. And I say all that to contrast the fact that coming out of my first screening of Babylon, I immediately wanted to turn back around and experience it all again. Now, I get why a lot of people aren't going to like this film. For one, I think Damien Chazelle's style could be a little overwhelming, regardless if the story itself isn't as crazy as Babylon's is. Now, is Chazelle's style the most insane, overt type of direction? No, but it's definitely not your typical type of camera storytelling we see, especially when you combine that with his use of frenetic editing. No other filmmaker working today is experimenting as much as Damien is with his camera work and editing, whether it's frantic or smooth. So I understand, given the chaotic nature of the film combined with Chazelle's style, Babylon will definitely not sit right with some people. And for some, that will become quickly clear within the first maybe 20-25 minutes of the film. While I do really like the story of Babylon, and I'll get into that soon, I promise, I do agree that a lot of the plot, and sometimes even simple characterization, becomes muddled within all of the chaos. Particularly, and this is spoiler-free, but the character of Sydney Palmer and Lady Faye do feel majorly sidelined, and for a film that has their performers' names on the poster, you'd figure they'd have more scenes, or at least a little more screen time. And don't get me wrong, I do understand what they were trying to say with these two specific characters, and honestly, I do really like where they end up. It's just their journeys, unfortunately, got lost among everything else. So the film Babylon centers around 3 people who all represent a different archetype within this particular time in Hollywood, the 1920s, when film began to transition from silent pictures to the talkies. So you have Margot Robbie, who plays Nellie Leroy, an eccentric aspiring actress, Brad Pitt, who plays Jack Conrad, an already successful actor that begins to struggle in the business with the transition from the silent films to the talkies, and Diego Luna, who's really more of the audience character, and Manny Torres, though he does have his own arc that thankfully makes him more dimensional than just the audience vehicle. And we follow these 3, Nellie, Jack, and Manny, on their rise and eventual fall in Hollywood throughout the 1920s and up until the early 50s. A lot of the common chatter I've been hearing online is that the plot is weak and at times almost non-existent, but that's kind of the thing with Damien Chazelle's films. Each and every single one of them, we follow either a character or a set of characters on their specific journey to accomplish a goal. They have a clear goal, and they'll stop at nothing to obtain it, whether you're talking about Andrew in Whiplash, Mia and Sebastian in La La Land, or even Neil Armstrong in First Man. Each and every one of his films, we are just simply following a character or characters through their lives as they try to accomplish a goal. It's very basic storytelling that Damien makes incredibly interesting, and in some cases, Oscar-winning. The simple idea of following characters as they try to accomplish a goal is literally storytelling 101. It is not new. It has not been new for thousands of years, and usually the environment around our characters within this specific type of story is what the draw or spectacle is, and in this case, it's the early 20s. It's very cookie cutter, but what Chazelle does to make his projects stand out among the masses is he writes characters with incredibly deep motivations that are just so deeply rooted into that character, it ends up conflicting with their personalities, creating this a compelling window into whatever story Chazelle happens to be telling. And like all Chazelle projects, our character accomplishes their goal. They actually complete it maybe midway into the film, and then for the rest of it we see their downfall into what could be a plethora of outcomes: redemption, death, etc., whatever it may be. Damien Chazelle makes extremely deep and intimate films where he takes us on a journey of character, even if that sacrifices a traditional narrative. Now, is it something to celebrate? Clearly not, because this film has so much potential to be a masterpiece, and I truly do think that if this movie spent a little bit longer, 1, maybe even 2 years in the shed, just fleshing out the characters a little bit more, making some balance changes in terms of characters, when to cut back to someone, when to let the audience sit with something a character just did or said. And by far the most important, try to shorten the whole damn thing. But even the runtime is a pain in the ass, because within 3 hours you have to tell a cohesive story that not only deals with 3 characters, but technically has to deal with 5, because Sydney and Lady Faye are very important characters to the story, though you kind of forget about it halfway through. But not only that, juggling 5 lead characters, you're going to be spanning across almost 35 years worth of a period in time in an industry that is just so important to that specific industry. You know, the transition from silent films to talkies. There's a lot of stuff that went on within that time period that Damien not only felt like he needed to convey on screen. But you guys, I could talk about this movie all day, and honestly, I love that. I haven't felt this way about a movie in a long time this year, maybe since Everything Everywhere All at Once. Whether I loved it to death and it's my number 1 on my top 10, which it's not, spoiler alert, or if it's at the bottom of my worst list, again, it's fucking not. This movie, I don't know, it makes me want to make movies again, and that's pretty damn exciting. My favorite movies to watch are movies that remind me of the love that I have for cinema. Now, yes, Babylon is a bit of a scathing take at Hollywood, and it should really scare somebody away from pursuing that dream, but it kind of did the opposite for me. But with all that said, you guys, I'm going to give Babylon a 4.5 out of 5. It would be a perfect 5 out of 5 if some of the characterization didn't get lost within the 3-hour runtime. I just can't forgive all of that character work being kind of muddled into the background when we have a runtime that is over 3 hours long. But thank you guys so much for watching. Have you guys seen Babylon? What did you think about it? I know I'm probably going to be in the minority on this one. Feel free to leave your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below, and please feel free to tear me up about my opinion. I love reading those comments. They make my day. Now, there's not too much coming up on the release schedule apart from my top 10 best and worst videos of the year, which will be out by the end of next week. But for now, you guys, thank you guys all so much again for watching. Please be safe out there, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.